don't have it on your machine, head over to this website, download it. I also want you to make sure you have not installed on your machine. If you haven't, again, head over to this website, have it downloaded on your machine. I'm on my GitHub repository. Here you can get source code for this tutorial. In this episode, I will leave a link in my description down below the video. Just click the button, download the zip file, or you can use an option. Just copy the link, head over to your desktop, create a new folder. I'm gonna name it my repo. Right click, then you'll see you have options. If you don't see this, it means you don't have the Git installed on your machine. Then head over to this website and have it downloaded on your machine. If you never used Git before, I highly recommend you to try it because you're going to use it a lot on your journey as a program. Head over to your folder. Again, click the Git bash here, type git clone. Then paste the URL that you copied from our GitHub repository. After that, you'll have the source code on this folder. Open up the Visual Studio Code. So here we have two folders. We have got this public folder where we have the public asset for applications such as icons, all the images we need in this application. We have got this source folder where we have basic component, that is app component. That component is responsible for rendering data for browser. Inside of this component folder, we have the child components in all parent. Also have data.js file where we have included all the data for this application. We have this context folder where we included our context API file. We have index to CSS, all the styles inside our application, which means that we have included all the CSS app inside of this file. We also have index.js, which is a React endpoint of our application. Finally, we have this package.json files, which help us to keep track of any packages we install locally and specifically for our project. Now, since all our dependencies are listed inside of this package.json file, we can go to our terminal and type install. That's going to look inside the package.json file. At this dependencies property, right here we install all of the different dependencies listed right here. That's going to do all of them in one fell swoop. So now if we try to run this by saying npm start and press enter, this will launch our development server on port 3000 without error, pointing to localhost port 3000. Then you'll see our application is up and running on your default browser. Beautiful. So head over to your desktop and create a new folder. I'm gonna name it React App. Then open up the VS Code on this folder. Go to our terminal and head over to this website. If you need more information about create a new React app, you can get them right here on this website. So what I want you to do, want you to copy the npx create React app, paste it here in the terminal. Now, this is going to install React as well as all the third-party libraries we need. So it's going to install a lightweight development saver, Webpack for bundling of files, Babel for compiling JavaScript code, as well as a bunch of other tools. So when you create application using Create React App, you don't have to do any configuration. So the React packages are inside of this My App folder. That means we need to open this folder, because if we try to run npm start, it's not going to work because the packages are not inside of this React app. So let's go back and open that app. Now, if we try again to run npm start on My App folder, this will launch our development saver port 3000 pointing to localhost port 3000. Now let's go back to our VS Code and see what we have in this folder. So keep this app clean. I'm going to remove a couple of files that we don't need for our application. We're going to start with this favicon icon, delete that. Then I'm going to delete this logo. Then I'm also going to delete manifest JSON as well as robot text. Done. Let's head over to the source folder and delete app CSS. We don't need that. We're not going to do testing. Delete that one too. Also going to delete setup test. So head over to app.js and delete everything. Now we're going to start to write our code at app.js. So I'm going to import React here at the top, and then I'm going to create a function and name it app. Then I'm going to return some JSX. I'm going to create a section tag and write a h3 tag which says this is going to be our app section. Then I want to export this component. Now save the changes back into our browser. You can see our app component rendered to the DOM properly. Back to the VS Code, I'm also going to delete report web vitals to JS. But then you'll see an error because report web vitals file is included inside our index.js file. So I'm going to go ahead, index.js, and remove that here at the top. I'm also going to remove it down here, save the changes, back to our browser, and the error is gone. Back to the VS Code, I'm also going to delete logo.svp inside our source folder. We don't need that. Now let's take this app to the next level. But first, save some time. I'm not going to write CSS code from scratch, but instead I'm going to copy all the styles of CSS code, a couple of more files that we're going to need when building our application from our GitHub repository folder. So open up the VS Code. On our repository folder, I'm going to try to make this simple for you as possible as I can. So I want you to go to the public folder, copy the icons folder, then go to a new React app, paste that inside the public folder. Again, go ahead and do the same for this images folder, paste it inside the public folder here inside our new React app, then go to the source folder. But first, head over to our new React app inside the source folder and delete this index.css. Then go back to the repository folder, copy the index, paste it to the new React app inside the source folder. Then go back to the repository folder and inside the component folder, copy this data.js and paste it inside the new React app source folder. Then you'll be good. Now let's go back to our new React app and see if this works. I want you to go ahead to the app.js and inside the section tag, I want you to give it a class name app. And set the changes, go back to our browser, refresh the changes, then you'll see the background is changed. That means we have successfully copied the files we need building our application. So go back to the file panel and inside the source folder, I want you to create a folder and name it components. Let's create our first component, which is going to be the navbar. Then create the second one, which is going to be our home component. Open the navbar file. I'm going to import React here at the top. Then I want to create a constant variable which is going to hold the function for component, arrow function. Then I want to open up my curly braces tag JSX. I want to write the section tag, give it the class name navbar. Then I'm going to wrap my elements with div tag. Here we have an image tag, so I'm going to give the source attribute a path to the image, and then I'm going to give this image a width of 100 pixels. Down below, I want to create a h1 tag of the rotor. Then I'm going to export the navbar component. Go back to the app.js and remove h3 tag and press it to the navbar component. Then we need to import that here at the top. Give it the directory for this navbar component. Save the changes, back to our browser. We have our logo and h1 tag rendered in the browser. Back to the VS Code, head over to the home component. Again, import React here at the top and create a constant variable. Give it a name for holding the function for this component. And return a section tag and give it a class name home. And write a h3 tag which says this is home component. Then I'm going to export the home component, save the changes, go back to the app.js. Down below the navbar, I'm going to bring the home component, and it has been imported automatically here at the top. Save the changes, back to our browser. We can see our home component rendered done. Beautiful. Next, I want to create another folder for a context API. Create a new file. I'm going to name it product context. And inside of this file, we're going to write context API. So import React, and then I'm also going to import create context use stateful from React. So what this create context does is that creates context object allow us to use it inside our component, which is why I'm going to export this context object because the components are going to be in another file. Since every context object comes with the provider React component, we're going to create a component for this context object. So I'm going to write constant product context provider equals to parentheses, and then inside of this I'm going to return angle bracket product context provider inside of this I'm going to write props to children, then down here I'm going to export this component. So what this component does is that it allows consuming components to subscribe context changes. So let's create a state, constant products, set products equals to use state, and then I'm going to import data file we copied from repo. Then I'm going to write it down here inside this braces, and then pass it this object so that it can be accessed by the consuming component. So the provider component accepts the value prop to be passed to consuming components that are descendant of this provider. Next, I'm going to import the component we created in the context object. Wrap the consuming component inside this product context provider. This will give the consuming component an access to our context API and allow the consumers to be the descendant of this provider. Head over to home.js and then import use context hook here at the top. So what this use context hook does is that it takes the context as parameter to retrieve the value. So I'm going to destructure the context object and use context hook to retrieve the value of the product context. Then import that here at the top manually. Mine is already imported automatically. To see if this works, I'm going to console the log, the product value received from the product context. Save the changes back to our browser, open up the console, and you'll see a list of objects from our context API. Next, I'm going to create another folder, and inside of it, I'm going to include all the child components that we're going to import inside the component. So, the first one is going to be sidebar component, then the product component. So, head over to sidebar.js and import React here at the top. Then create a constant holding a function name for this component and return a section tag. Give it a class name sidebar. And write a h3 tag which says this is sidebar component. Export the sidebar component, save the changes, go to product.js, import React, and then create a constant variable holding a function name for this component. Then return a div and give it a class name of cat. inside of it, create a H3 tag which says this is product component. Export the product component, save the changes, and head over to the home component and replace a H3 tag with a sidebar component. And then import that here at the top. Mine is already imported. Save the changes, back to our browser, refresh the page, and our sidebar component is rendered to the DOM properly. Back to VS Code, down below the sidebar component, I'm going to create a div and give it a class name of middle because it's going to be in the middle. And then create another div, give it a class name of product. Then I'm going to map the product received from our content API into product. Then return a product component created a minute ago. Then import the product component here at the top manually. Mine is already imported. Then back to our mapping function, give this product component key, which is going to be product.id from the list of objects we received from the content API. And then the split operator, then right next to it, I'm going to write product that we made from this function. Now save the changes, back to our browser, and you'll see the cards rendered to the DOM. Back to the VS Code, head over to product component and use a destructuring method to receive the props from our parent component, which are going to be name, price, and the image. And then I'm going to return those properties inside my div. I'm going to start with the name property and write a H2 tag. Then I'm going to write curly braces for assigning dynamic value. Then I'm going to put price inside the H3 tag. Then an image, which I'm going to put it inside source attribute to return the dynamic value of image. Then a link which says buy now. Save the changes, back to our browser, and you'll see the shoe product rendered to the DOM properly. Beautiful. So if you open the dev tool, you'll see an error here on the console. Because of this manifest.json file we deleted a minute ago. To solve this error, go back to our file panel and head over to index.html and delete this link for manifest file that we have removed. Save the changes, back to our browser, and the error is gone. Back to VS Code, head over to home component and import data to the data.js file. Then create a constant variable, name it brands, and set that equals to new set, and use the data imported to map it into product and then return product name. Let's console the brands to see what we have. Save the changes, back to our browser, refresh the page, and here on the console you'll see we have created 5 sets of brand name we have inside data file. So delete the console and create another constant. I'm going to name it all brands and set this equals to array, and inside of it I'm going to write a string all for all brands, and then use the split operator to expand the set of brand name into a list of strings. Let's console all brands to see what we have. Set the changes, back to our browser, refresh the page. Here in the console we have usage all words included. Back to the VS Code, I'm going to delete the console, and then I'm going to pass down all brands to a sidebar component as an attribute, then save the changes, Head over to our sidebar component. I'm gonna destructure the props. Let's say the home component. You press a H3 tag with div tag and give it a class name of brands. Inside of it, I'm gonna map all brands property that we receive from the home component into brand in an index. Then I'm gonna return another div and write a key prop index. Give it a class name brand. Inside of this div, I'm gonna write a label element. Then I'm gonna put a dynamic value inside of it. Set the changes back to our browser, and we see the brand names rendered to the DOM. Back to the VS Code. Inside our map function, I'm gonna create a variable and name it icon, which is going to be equal to a directory. Then I'm gonna use the switch statement, then write the brand inside the length table. And say, if the case is Nike, then the icon is plus equal Nike logo PNG, which is going to add a string to our icon variable, then bring the switch. Again, if the case is Puma, the brand name, then the icon is plus equal Puma PNG. Again, if the brand name is Yeezy, then we add Yeezy logo with PNG and then break the switch and look for another case, which is Adidas. Then add Adidas logo PNG, the icon variable, and then break the switch again. Look for another case, then add the string, the icon. Finally, if the case is all, then add the string icon variable. Now, go down below JSX that return, and above the label tag, write an image tag, give the source attribute icon variable created at the top. Set the changes back to the browser, and we see our brand icons rendered to the DOM properly. Beautiful. Back to VS Code. So we can create the state for an active button here inside sidebar component. But then we won't be able to access and change the state to the active button. So instead, I'm gonna go ahead for a context API and create a state. I'm gonna name it active. Give it an initial value of 0. Then I'm going to create a function to change the active state. I'm going to name it into active. And then I'm going to console the log string which says into active invoke. Head over to the provider to this value object as well as handle active. So now we have access to those two inside our consumer. Save the changes and head over to home component and bring active and handle active from the API. Then pass them as attributes to a sidebar component. I'm going to start with active, then into active. Save the changes and head over to a sidebar component. Receive them as props, both active into active. Now, inside our div of class name brand, I'm going to write curly braces, and then string literal, and inside I'm going to write run, then use logical AND operator, which only execute if both conditions are true. So I'm going to write the first condition, which is if the active value is equal to the index, and a string which doesn't have any condition. So it's going to return a true value by default. That means the only condition that must be met is if the active value is equal to the index. Now, since we give active state an initial value of 0, set the changes, go back to our browser, and we see the active button is only visible to the screen with the value of index equal to 0. Now, back to VS Code, and then handle the onClick event. The function probe of handle active created inside our context. Set the changes, back to our browser, open up the DevTools, and then click the brand icon button, and we have logged the string from the handle active function. Close the DevTools, back to VS Code. I'm going to pass an argument of index value to our callback function. And then I'm going to write a parameter to represent the index value we receive from our callback function on the onClick event. And instead of console.log, I'm going to change the state of active value and set that equal to the index value we are going to receive from our onClick event. Now, if I click on one of these brand, the active button is going to change into the current brand click. Beautiful. Next, I'm going to create a menu bar icon. So head over to React Icons page. I want you to copy npm install React. And then head over to our component, open up the terminal. I'm going to terminate the saver and paste npm install React Icons. Place enter. This is going to install the package for React Icons. Done. Again, I'm going to launch the saver one more time. Then return to home component. Now let's import the package we installed here at the top. I'm going to write import, then curly braces, leave them blank. Then the name of the package. Again, head over to React Icons page, search for outline menu icon. I'm gonna copy this. You can pick your own. I choose this one. It works for me at least. So go ahead and paste it inside the curly braces. Then go to React Icons, type / and pick this IE. I think this one matches the icon we select. Then go down below to our div of class name middle. Then write an angle bracket again. Paste the outline menu icon here. Give it a class name of menu bar. Then save the changes back to our browser, and we see the outline menu icon rendered properly. Back to VS Code. Then head over to our config and create a state. I'm gonna name it toggle. Set that an initial value first. Then create a function, name it in the toggle. This is going to set toggle value to a true, then into a false value back and forth. Because of this exclamation mark is used to say toggle value. Then go to value object, add the toggle value, the handle toggle function to this object. Set the changes, then head over to home component, save the toggle and handle toggle from the context API. go down to our menu bar icon and create an on-click event to trigger our handle toggle function. And then write down the toggle value inside our sidebar component as an attribute. Then head over to the sidebar component and receive the toggle value prop. And inside of the sidebar section tag, I'm going to give it a style. Then use ternary operator to check the value toggle. So if it is true, then give it style, a width of 100 pixels. If the toggle value is false, then I'm going to return null to return an empty value. Then go down below inside of this div with the class name of brand. I'm going to give it a style. Again, if the toggle is true, then give it margin 25 pixel, space, then 40 pixel. Give it a padding 1.8 rem, space 0.5 rem. Then return null value if the toggle is false. Again, head over to label tag and inside of it, I want to give it a style. If the toggle is true, then display none and return null if the toggle value is false. Now save the changes back to a browser, and now I can click this icon to toggle the content inside sidebar section. Back to a home component. Then inside the div tag of class name middle, I'm going to use ternary operator to check if the toggle value is true. Then the class name will be toggle middle. If the toggle value is false, then it will have the class name middle. And inside of this outline menu icon, I'm going to give it a style, and if the toggle is true, then transform it into a translate of 5 pixel, negative 143 pixel. Then return now the toggle is false. Again, go ahead inside the div tag of class name product. Then if the toggle value is true, then it will have a class name of toggle product, else it will have a class name of product. Set the changes back to our browser and we can click the icon to toggle the content. Beautiful. Back to VS Code, open up the navbar component. Then import use context here at the top from React. Then structure the context object and bring only the toggle value we create inside our context API. Set that you could use context inside of the parentheses. I'm going to write down the product context object and then import that here at the top. Mine is already imported automatically. Then down below inside our h1 element, I'm going to give it a style and use the toggle value received from the context object. Check if the toggle is true. Then I'm going to display none and return null if the toggle value is false. Set the changes back to our browser, and now we have successfully built our application. Beautiful.